Welcome to the pod at My Village,
where we're going to have fun talking all things My Village Ministries, family preservation, and the church's involvement in this important work.
We're Phil and Mel, and we know very little, maybe nothing, about running a podcast, but we do know something about family preservation.
I feel like we're starting to get to know a little.
Today was the first day I said very little instead of just nothing.
Yeah.
And really, it's Ben knows some things.
Yeah, Ben knows things. We still know nothing.
We still know nothing. We just like talking and laughing.
Yeah.
I was realizing, Ben, is this episode 14, 15?
I think 14.
And we've talked, it's mostly been you and I talking for so it's like 15, 14 hours recorded of you and I just talking to each other.
Aaron hates me on Thursdays when I come home because I have no other words to use. I've used them all.
That's fair. It is actually, before I even knew you well, one of the first things she told me about you is that he has a certain number of words, and when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
There's no drumming up more.
Yeah.
So if you've run out of words by the time you get home, then she gets
I need to institute what you guys do in the Marshall household. So on Thursdays for us, I think Tuesdays for you, where Jeff just gets to retreat and not have to interact with anyone, right?
Yep. Introvert night.
Gosh. I'm not an introvert, but I'll make it a night where it's like no words night.
It'll just be like dude night.
Yeah.
Where you just don't have to talk to anybody.
Grunt night. We just grunt back and forth.
Your boys would probably doing that with you.
No.
And Thursday night is football, so you could, right? You could watch
Thursday night is football. And then at that point, I'll be able to have 13 words to use for the guys that show up, which is all that is needed. No, this was a great social experiment. I wasn't planning on talking about this, as is the case with most things at the beginning of our podcast.
Yeah. We do very little planning that we stick to.
Yeah, especially in the intro. But my oldest son, Decker, who's 10, loves to go out in the yard and play different sports. Oftentimes, it's me throwing footballs to him. He practices different routes, and we just have fun. Mm-hmm. At this point, I'm not making this up. He's probably ran over the course of 5 years, probably 5,000 routes. I've probably thrown a football to him 5,000 times, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's one of your shoulders way looser than the other.
It's I need rotator cuff surgery at this point. But Decker does not, he's much like me. He does not need to use a lot of words. And I just wanted to see if we could go out. He asked me to go out and throw a football. This was in the spring of this year. So he was 9 at that point. And he asked me to go out and throw the football. And this was on my mind that I want to try this one time. I just want to go out there to see if we can play without me having to use any words at any point. And we were out there for at least 30 minutes. There was 0 words exchanged between us. And he was still so happy.
That is so crazy.
Dudes are one that proved to me a couple things. A couple things about Decker. He doesn't need a whole lot from you from a conversing standpoint.
Yeah.
Just does not need much there. But dudes are simple, and they just like doing stuff together. They want to be shoulder to shoulder. And he felt so loved by me.
Yeah.
Because we went out, played for 30 minutes, and I'm not making this up. Neither one of us said a word to each other. I didn't say hike. I didn't say anything. I didn't encourage him. I just threw the ball. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I want that statement to be able to hang for all guys, but all the men in my house talk so much, except for Jeff. So all 3 of my sons. If you're alone with them one-on-one, they just yammer away. They just have so many things saved up to tell me. And just with me, if they're with their dad, they can be quiet.
So that they can't, it's
So they want to talk to their mom.
They pick up from the vibe.
Maybe.
If it's just Jeff in the room, there's a lot of testosterone here. We just can't talk.
Yeah, we just can't talk.
Yeah.
The Marshall household is always fighting for airspace. Regularly, I'm standing in the kitchen.
The reason Jeff has his teeth.
Yeah, that's it. He wishes every night was introvert night.
Nothing but love, Jeff.
Sometimes they are all talking to me at once, and I'm like, do you guys think that I can hear any of you? You're all talking at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's chatty.
You know what's great about that unexpected intro? It actually ties in really well to the first question I want to ask. So I'm going to go first because it's a great transition.
Okay.
What's one social norm that is acceptable for females that would be weird for males?
Probably snuggling and physical affection.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Girls can basically sit on top of each other on a couch and watch a show together. And you would be instantly shamed with your guy friends if you were doing that.
I tried it with Ben the other day. I got a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. It's probably inappropriate for you as a boss.
No, I appreciate you said that. I feel like we did just talk about this, but this is actually what made me think of wanting to ask you this question for the podcast, because Lori, who's on staff with us, once lived with us, and her and Aaron are really good friends. And I came home from work one day and they were the only ones in the house. I think, well, at that point we had young kids. They may have been taking a nap or something or not around.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in and they could not have been sitting or talking more closely to each other than, it was like, how are either of you comfortable right now? Like if I was close talking 4 inches away from Ben's face, one, I hope he would say something to me.
Yeah.
But two, I hope like just innately I would feel
there are a
uncomfortable.
few guys I've met over time that do like get like really close.
Yeah,
and
but
aren't quite aware of it.
I would actually say the majority of those dudes though that do that, it does fit them though.
Yes, it
There's
does feel
actually
like
been
it goes
few
along with their
dudes
personality.
at close talk were like that. One, you shouldn't be doing that. Two, it doesn't fit you.
But whether or not you want to, if like if my friend saw me and another girlfriend doing that, they wouldn't think twice. Whereas your friends would be like, what is happening?
Yeah. No, but like, what is the appeal to close talking?
I don't know. I think girls are just like more physically affectionate and we're more comfortable showing that to each other than boys are.
Yeah.
You guys are grunting and throwing a football without saying a single word for half an hour.
No, yeah. No, I appreciate that. That makes sense.
Although Charlie is like very physically affectionate. He will sit, like if I'm sitting on the couch, he sits like kind of on top of me still at the age of 11. Do you think
he'll do that though when he's like 23?
It's hard to say. Yeah. I will
like
let you know.
He comes home from college and all he's doing for the weekend is close talking with his mom from 7 inches away.
Yes. He's 11 and he will still let me like pick him up. He will like run and jump into my arms for a hug.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know when that stops, but I want it to never stop because he's my youngest.
Oh yeah. I can appreciate that. Decker, who I just spoke about, is also that way. He's not afraid to snuggle on the couch, which I actually really enjoy. It's fun.
Yeah. There's a popular reel going around right now about holding your kids for the last time when they grow up and how you never really know like what is going to be the last time that you pick your kids up. And so some parents who are already basically there are creating these short videos where they have their kids asked to be picked up one last time and they pick them up. And so they've captured on video then their last time when they already were almost not doing it. But they have the kids say whatever phrase it was that they said when they were like little, like uppy or I hold you. You know how your kids say like hold you when they want you to hold them. Hold you. And so then everybody's just like weeping while they pick up their kids for the last time.
That's good.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
It is. Time is a thief. And just your kids growing up, man, there's something about it. Even this Christmas, we were very much like, man, they want all these big kid things. No, there's no like trucks and dolls and it just is. It's very cool. There's like cool new things happening, but it's
a tough chapter to close.
It's hard. Yeah. It's really special. And it's hard to like grapple with. Like you can't ever go back to it.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy it while you're doing it because once it's gone, it's gone. And then you can be a grandparent.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just like from now until grandparent years have that be what I'm looking forward to.
No, for sure.
I do really want to enjoy their teen years and young adult years.
It is cliche, but time goes by so fast. With your kids, at least, it does feel like that so often. Yeah. Just real fast, though, which of your friends or sisters would you feel most comfortable talking close, like
being physically affectionate with?
Just
it does depend on the person. I'm a big reader of people. Like my sister Krista probably doesn't want me to like sit on top
Allie.
of her. Allie Watson, doesn't want to be hugged. My younger sister, Trisha, she and I are like, we will like sit like leaning on each other or give each other shoulder massages or whatever when we're hanging out.
Yeah. Praise the Lord. God made us different.
He sure did. All right. You ready for your question? If you were not in ministry or a pastor, what do you think your vocation would have been? Let's say you never got saved. Like what would your natural kind of vocational track have been that fit your giftings and skill sets?
I probably would have been like an AD, athletic director.
You think?
That's the track I was trying to get on.
Yeah.
Until I found Jesus. So.
Do you think at like a high school or college level or try to be with a pro team?
I'd probably prefer middle school because there would have been less pressure.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. My summers off would probably be more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So,
Do you know that I started in college to be an athletic trainer?
I think, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And a part of the reason I switched is because it is like long hours because you have to be, and probably for an AD also, you have to be at the school for the whole school day and then for all the evening games and then sometimes weekend travel.
Yeah.
At least for the trainers. I don't know how they actually work out their whole schedule. I think it was
true. There are some long days there for sure.
Yeah.
It was either that or I was hoping to be like a elementary PE coach. I mean, talk about.
Is that why you went to school for games?
Yeah, that is why I went to games. Expert in all things dodgeball and made up games.
I'm a little disappointed you don't make up more games for our staff to play together then.
Yeah, I can.
I
feel like it's hard for me to do that because there's 11 females.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
We like games.
Today's game is close talking.
Yep.
It'd probably be that. Praise the Lord. I mean, I would enjoy that, but I love what I do.
Yeah. You would have been a good athletic director.
I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I would have been a better PE teacher than athletic director. Not organized enough.
Kids would have loved you as a PE teacher.
Yeah, they would. Yeah.
Do you think you could do a whole day without talking to any of them?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I'll make this as fast as possible. I worked at a daycare for 2 summers, and I was actually, me and my buddy Mike Pierce, it was in college. I was like 20 years old, 21. And I was the main teacher of, what was it called? E2. So it was like grades, it was like ages like 9 through 12 or 9 through 10, something like that.
It's a fun age.
And me and my buddy Mikey Pierce led it together. And during like our recess time, we would play dodgeball with them. And it was like Happy Gilmore all over again. So like Mike and I were like drilling kids so hard that they were crying. And like we'd come back in the classroom and we'd like take inventory of how many kids cried that time. Like, hey, raise your hand if Mr. Phil and Mr. Mike hurt you during volleyball. It was like always like at least 80%.
Did you ever have any parents complain?
No, but the kids loved us because like there was other fun things that we did and we'd always make them laugh.
They're like,
afterward.
we do get hurt a little, but then they're also kind other times.
Had a few black eyes, but it was worth it.
Were you like knocking little girls over too?
Oh yeah, and some of the balls we throw are those big like medicine workout ball, like not the medicine, but the big blow up ones.
Those are
where you
great.
like chuck them and like it hits the legs, it like clips them out and all they're just bouncing everywhere.
Flip over the top.
Yeah, it's like, dude, yeah. Anyways.
Wow.
I would have enjoyed doing that as a PE teacher.
Maybe, have you ever thought about someday like having a retirement job like that?
Yeah, I could.
Like go be a PE teacher when you're like 70.
That would be fun. Second question, our job can be stressful at times. We've had a little bit of a stressful week, more so for others than us. But so what is your favorite thing to do or favorite things to do to de-stress at the end of a stressful day?
That is a great question. So I was part of one of the really stressful nights this week, and we were at someone's house late at night, and the police were involved. We cried and prayed, and like a very deep emotional night. And then I walked in the door, and my boys are in their jammies, like ready to read.
Yeah.
And there's something like hard and wonderful about that. They have no idea what their mom just kind of went through or witnessed. It's not really me going through it. And they just want to read with their mom. And there is something about, just to retouch on the fact that I love physical touch, like my 2 11-year-old boys, still being little kids, cozied up on either side of me, fighting about who gets to sit closer and reading a book to them. So I think sometimes when it's a really hard day, sometimes I want to like go be by myself and like read a book by a fireplace. But sometimes I just want to go do like very normal at home things.
Yeah.
And there's something about like meeting a simple need in your kids where you feel like, well, I can do this.
Yeah.
I could not fix this over here. So maybe that's an even simpler boiled down answer is like, go do something that I can do and feel good about because I can't fix these like heavy, hard things sometimes in the world.
That's pretty wild to think about too, of like the dichotomy of your day, of what you experienced that night, then going home to snuggling your 2 11-year-old boys.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
It is. And
to your point, it's like, it's sad, but it's like,
there's
a lot of joy in it too.
I have been in a place recently where I am just really wrestling with that, to be super vulnerable. This disparity between the unconditional love that my kids are getting to receive, not just from Jeff and I, but from grandparents and aunts and uncles and like layer after layer of people. And then the lack of that can be in the world around us.
Yeah.
Kids who are just starved for that kind of love. And I'm really wrestling with that with the Lord some. Like, man, God, why is it this way? It's so broken. And how can we be part of righting the ship a little bit? And even when we hang out with kids, I know we're in hard places for a short period of time. You feel this sense of like, how can I pour all of the love that I can on you in the next 2 hours that I have to hang out? Like, how can I affirm you and remind you of truth and smile at you as many times as I can if you're coming from a house where you don't get smiled at a lot because things are really hard right now? And so I've just been wrestling with that some. And I do think there's a disparity where it's not that I don't want my kids I don't want to come home and my kids are struggling. I love that I get to come home and have this simple story time with them. It's that I want every 11-year-old kid in the world to be snuggled up next to their mom, reading a bedtime story and then going to bed in a warm bed.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to know about the brokenness and not be able to fix it all.
Yep. We'll get to it in time, but it kind of ties into your story, I think, a little bit. And we'll get into that later, what it is that you were saying right there. It's kind of similar to, if you've ever been to like an all-inclusive retreat, you're sitting there on the beach where you got food and drinks being served to you, and it's like a mile down the street, there's kids eating out of the garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of...
Yeah, I mean, Jeff
weird.
and I, it's so weird. Jeff and I went to an all-inclusive for our honeymoon, which we were like, I was 20. And so it was the greatest, most luxurious thing I could have ever imagined. They're like greeting you at the door with like a cool cloth and a cocktail and just every need that you could possibly think of, they take care of. But there is like a 45-minute drive from the airport where you're just like driving through basically the slums.
Yeah.
It's just
feels weird.
People along the street. Yeah, it does feel really weird. And it's hard to stay in the place where you wrestle with it. You want to like fit things into buckets and have them make sense. But I do think that the Lord wants us to wrestle with it and care about it because Absolutely. It breaks his heart too.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of our kind of frontline volunteers have experienced that. Our coaches, our host families. You have a kid in your home and praise the Lord, reconciliation, reunification is taking place. But you just know that at times there are going back to some pretty hard situations. Mm-hmm. And that's something to be wrestled with for sure.
Yeah, and you're not just wrestling with it yourself. You are asking your kids to wrestle with that too. You're watching your spouse wrestle with it. Maybe even grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins, like people who are part of your family that are watching it and falling in love with the kid too.
Yeah.
You kind of pull your whole circle into that. And it just isn't linear or clean cut. It is messy and hard. And yet by the grace of God, I am able to go cry and pray over that situation and then walk into my house and snuggle up with my boys and pray with them. And I feel like that is God as my shepherd helping me to process those emotions and be present with my family still. And I've seen my kids also care about it a lot and want to pray with me. So I feel like we're jumping ahead of your last question though, because
No, it's all right.
I already want to talk about, man, how this has just profoundly impacted my family. But let me ask you your question first. So if you were, this is another question that was given to me by someone else, just so you know, our audience is like really excited about what I ask you and they send me questions for you. By our audience, I mean like Ben and Peyton sent me this. Yeah, your wife has sent me one. Ben and Peyton sent me this one. If you were able to go back and witness one Bible story in real time, which one would it be?
This speaks a little bit to my manhood, but probably Samson slaying dudes with a donkey jaw. Right? Ben? It's up there. Top 5 maybe for you? Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of...
Really?
That's wild, Mel. I mean, there's so many crazy things.
It seems so bloody. So maybe that is why it speaks to your manhood.
It's interesting. Yeah. I repent, but it is what it is. It's interesting that you asked that because...
So it would not be the like 4 nights in a row that Delilah was like, just tell me your weakness. And he like fell for it again. And then...
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be the jaw.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's interesting because I've been reading through Mark, and Mark's kind of like this simple, condensed version of like the other gospel accounts in so many ways. Like in Mark 9 or something like that. And essentially you see the feeding of the 5,000, and then like a chapter and a half later, you see like the feeding of the 4,000.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to be able to read something like that back to back. And it's just like, he just like gets straight to the point, but kind of like, here's the facts of what happened.
Yeah.
And like, there's one interesting part of in the feeding of the 5,000 where he talks about how the disciples' hearts were hardened. But then like then like 2 chapters later, they're like still asking the question of like, dude, how are we going to feed the 4,000? Like,
it's been like 4 minutes since we fed.
Yeah. Anyways, there's a part of me that would want to like watch them witness the miracles to like try to soak in what it is.
Would you want to be like
through.
Kind of with Jesus, like these
Look at
guys?
these morons. My word. But we're all that.
We are all that. I thought that many times. Like you read about the disciples and with the perspective of the whole scripture, you're like, why didn't they get it?
Yeah.
But who's to say you wouldn't have been like just as much of a dullard?
Yeah. Anyways.
Samson is an undertold story in children's Bibles.
Wonder why.
Considering, I do wonder why.
Have you noticed how much they like soften some of those like crazy stories?
Well, it's hard to like.
Oh yeah.
Some of them
like if you were
I'm
to
going to sacrifice my son on the altar.
Correct. Yeah. If you were to take that story,
they're like, how much are we following the Lord?
If you were to take that story and like really put it in the full context and all of its glory on film, you would never let your kids watch that show.
Oh, definitely R-rated. Samson's story. He killed all those guys with the jaw of a donkey.
Let me read this story to you about this dude just slayed.
Funnily enough, within the last month, do you ever like tell your kids Bible stories just verbally where you're like creating the context or trying to make it feel like they're there? So you're not like reading from anything. But I was telling them the story. And even Lyra, who's 13, did not remember the story of Samson at all. So it must have been not in most of our kid Bible books. And she was enthralled. She was like, that is wild. I cannot believe I don't know that story. Like she loved the whole temple coming down.
Yeah.
And him kind of killing everybody at once.
It is crazy, man. It's it's a decent answer, right?
It is a good answer.
Now that you think about it a little bit more.
Well played. I think it's hard to top like the parting of the Red, just like the magnificence of parting the sea.
There's so many good ones out there. I try to go with something a little different.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
So unique.
Thank you. Appreciate that compliment. Well, Mel.
Yes.
Today's all about you.
I'm nervous about that.
I'm glad you're wearing your green sweatshirt that you got complimented on by 7 people
I did.
today.
This is my favorite color.
Yeah. You brought your A-game sweatshirt.
Thank you. Just really wanted to shine today. No, I think like 1 minute before I was leaving my house, I was like, ooh, I'm going to be on camera today.
No, I'm excited for people to hear your story of how just the journey. It is interesting. I think there's a little bit of a parallel in my story, not to make this about myself, but where you're able to like look back on your life and see the steps that God had orchestrated that led you to where you're at today. And I think there's a lot of that in your story, to be honest with you. And I think it'll be interesting for people to hear that story. And I think my prayer really is that people would be encouraged by your story of seeing how God has established your steps. And I think it will even encourage maybe some of those people out there that have had some hesitancy to jump into the hard work of hosting specifically that may say yes to it. And so I'm praying to that end. I really am. And so it's good to share our testimonies and to see God's faithfulness in it. And I'm excited again for our audience to hear that in your story. And so here's where I want to begin. You and Jeff, after you got married, for you at the young age of 20, him 25,
20. Could not.
26.
He was 26. Could not drink at my own wedding.
Yeah. You made an intentional decision to be I'm just going to put it this way, to jump into family ministry. I'm using air quotes about family ministry. Just use it a little bit more of a broad term. What compelled y'all to really go after that pretty quickly after you got married?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really is the Lord. I feel like there was nothing there was, you're supposed to like talk about all these things when you're dating and engaged. Like, oh, I want to have this many kids and I want to do this with my life. And I'm sure we had those conversations, but we certainly never talked about doing anything even remotely similar to what we ended up doing. It was actually, we were kind of following the status quo. We had a lot of Christian friends. So we did go on a couple mission trips. We're very interested in living gospel-centered lives and serving the Lord in some way. But we also were like trying to make ends meet. We didn't have very much money. We had a couple babies pretty young. I had my first baby when I was 22 and then second when I was 24. And it was actually when I was at home with my daughter had just been born. And we were just sitting in our room one day with our two kids. We shared a big house at that time with two other couples from our church. And so like your room was kind of where you could like go alone. That didn't have people running all over. It was really fun to do, but Jeff's an introvert, so he wanted to be alone.
It's great for him.
Yeah. So the four of us were sitting in our room and we were talking about our families growing up and we were talking about some of the hard things kids faced in the world. And we were like, man, the gospel, like in the most beautiful way, interrupted both of our parents' stories. My parents got saved on campus through like a campus evangelism, people going door to door sharing the gospel. The two of them and my aunt and uncle all got saved the same night. And so like the gospel just like crashed into my family's story in a way that it wouldn't have been. I mean, the four of them, my aunt and uncle and my parents, all came back to their apartment and were like, guess what happened today?
That's amazing.
And they had all gotten saved.
That's remarkable.
And not just saved, but like jumped right into community and like sharing the gospel themselves. And just was such a fundamental piece of my childhood was this like Great Commission movement. Jeff's family had like a really hard story too, where his dad had cancer his whole childhood. But his parents got saved, I think when he was pretty young. And then Jeff got saved around the age of 8. And then their testimony was one of the Lord healing his dad for a number of years, getting to share their testimony at lots of churches, but then eventually losing his dad to cancer when Jeff was 18 or 17. But we did not have dramatic testimonies ourselves, but our parents did. And we saw how the gospel had like intersected with our family tree. And we were like, man, we both got the benefit of growing up in these safe Christian homes with good families where we never worried about our safety or the next meal, even if we did have hardships growing up. And now look at these two little babies. I mean, they're like physically in front of us. Like they're going to grow up. They're going to know the name of the Lord from day one. They're going to hear it in utero. We're going to be talking about the Lord. We're going to be worshiping the Lord. And it just felt like too much goodness to keep to ourselves. Like that sounds maybe simple and dumb, but that is really what we felt in that moment. And, maybe we're not great evangelists and maybe we're not going to go be missionaries overseas, but what if we just like one at a time brought somebody who didn't have that into our family and let our home and our family be something that God stewards for others? We have like almost no money. We don't feel like we have any great spiritual gifts to offer, but we do have a really great family. And let's just share that with one person at a time. That was kind of like the initial talk, but within 4 or 5 months, we had found this organization that has a house parent model for at-risk teenagers and felt like the Lord was like, yep, go do this. And we packed up our kids, our 8 months, their Hope was 8 months and Caspian was 2.5 at the time. We moved all the way to California to be house parents for 6 teenage girls that we had never met before. Just teaching them life skills. And I mean, our whole life changed so dramatically because you're then living in the house with them.
You have 2 young kids.
Yeah. Yes. We're in this parenting stage that is all encompassing by itself, even if you're not doing anything like this. But we also got to do it together. Like neither of us had a separate job. We were both there in the house working with these girls all day, every day. And
can I interrupt and ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
That in that process of exploring and trying to figure out what that practically looks like, when you came across Boys Town, and I'm sure as you're reading this, as you're talking to the people there, you can pick up probably pretty quickly, this isn't going to be easy.
Yeah.
So were you and Jeff pretty unified on that initially? Did it take some wrestling with each other to get to that point? Who dragged who into it?
Yeah. Shockingly, because I'm usually the dragger, Jeff definitely drove the ship on
awesome.
this. I think we were like ripe for adventure. We were like, we don't just want to do the same life that everybody else is doing. Like, let's go on an adventure. We can, so let's do it. Like, I think that is really what it felt like. Like, we can say yes to this, so let's say yes to this. The Lord put it in front of us. Our families were not thrilled about it. They were kind and supportive, but they were like,
what were their hesitancies?
They're only grandkids moving far away, pressure on a young couple and a young parents. Yeah, I think those are the main things. Honestly, the things we ended up going through were way worse than they were worried about.
That was nothing. The things you were worried about.
Yeah, so I think that Jeff really did drive the ship on that. He really felt like God's called us to do this and we can do it. And I was like, great, let's do it. So it didn't feel like a hard yes, even though it was such a major change.
Yeah. So would you mind sharing a little bit of kind of really practically and tangibly what that looked like at Boys Town? What did the day-to-day, the week-to-week look like? What were your responsibilities as those house parents?
Yeah. So we lived in the house with the girls, but we had kind of an apartment that had a locking door between it and the rest of the house. But it was this big house on a hill in California. It's called Trabuco Canyon. It was so pretty. It felt like we had to live in a vacation spot for a little while, even though it was stressful. There were 4 other houses on the hill, each with a couple living in them. So we became fast friends with those couples right away because you're all kind of living this really unique lifestyle. And we had these girls living in our house, and they had come from a variety of situations, some straight out of juvie, some with really high mental health needs, and some were behaviorally too challenging for foster care, meaning there had been some kind of aggression or behavior that was more than like your typical foster parent could handle. And we went through pretty intense training for a couple of weeks. We did safety hold training. We had to learn how to drive a 15-passenger van. Like we had to pass
full of crazy
driving
teenagers.
Yeah, on like the 405 in California, which is like 8 lanes on each side.
Yeah.
And
was trauma training, was that like a prevalent thing at that time?
It was. It actually built a lot of the basis of what then we built off of when I came and started doing family preservation work.
Like looking back on that training on trauma, do you feel like there was a lot that has changed or shifted over what was that, 20 years ago, whatever it was? 15 years ago?
Yes. They definitely don't use the language of connection a whole lot. There's a lot of like offering youth-centered rationales for why their behavior should change, being like quick to give. They used a point card system. So you would get like negative points if you did something wrong and positive points if you did something right. And then every day you either had your privileges or not based on how many points you got. And so there was so much teaching all the time in the house and a very big emphasis on like, you can find something negative to teach. Like you should be giving negative points every day. You should be looking for, instead of lowering your tolerances. It was not as like gracious and connected as what we do now. But some of the things that we still teach, I learned first in that room, like behind every behavior, there's a need. It's not a matter of won't, but can't.
Yeah.
Prefrontal cortex was like a huge piece of their training. Like this teenager that you're asking them why they did this thing. And they're like, I don't know. They truly don't know. Like they actually have no idea why they did that behavior.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, it's funny because we witnessed a little bit of it this week in our office, but I think learning how to respond when somebody's lid is flipped and they're really losing it and how to like de-escalate yourself, really stay calm and kind of wait out and help them like get to a place of regulation. Some of those things were really similar, but I wish I remembered more of it because I think it was pretty good research-based training but it was like, we're learning all this stuff so quickly and then we got thrown into the fire. And there's nothing that sitting in a classroom can do to prepare you for like these 6 teenage girls with wildly different stories of trauma sitting at the dinner table that first night looking at you like, how are you going to be part of my life, lady?
Yeah.
Now, praise the Lord, I think my upbringing actually helped me connect with them way better than the training. The training gave me a good understanding of trauma and the brain and behavior. But the way I had been raised, I couldn't wait to nurture and connect with these girls.
Mm-hmm.
And so that ended up being a real strong point in our house is they ended up really loving Jeff and I. And we created all these really fun family traditions that we would do. And
yeah, they emphasize that a lot, right? Boys
yes,
Town.
they emphasize family traditions really highly because a lot of the kids don't have those.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the things we had to agree to when we took the job was that we would never travel on a holiday. So we could take time off to be with our family, but we were agreeing like, you will not be with your family on Christmas Day. You'll be here.
That's a commitment.
Yeah. Celebrating Christmas with these kiddos or Easter or whatever the holiday was.
Yeah.
We could never schedule time off.
Yeah. What was the hardest adjustment for you and Jeff as parents to go from parenting like a 3 and 1 year old, whatever it was, to now parenting teenagers that come from really hard situations?
Yeah. There's really not any words for it. I mean, just so like wildly different, and you're still trying to like parent your own 2 kids. I think we came home from that time thinking raising our own teens would be a piece of cake. And it actually sometimes feels harder because your heart is so much more broken when your own kids are struggling than the kids we had just met. Now, that doesn't mean our heart wasn't broken lots of times, but I think the biggest change for us was that it was all the time. We worked, we were expected to be out of our apartment at 6 a.m. with the girls and not go back to it till 10 p.m. So it was 16-hour days. And then we had 2 shifts off a week, not even whole days. So we would have like from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. off twice a week. Yeah. And when there were certain girls in our house, it was fine because the behavioral needs weren't so high, and you could settle into this rhythm where you're just having a family dinner and doing the dishes together after dinner. And even the time on shift was really enjoyable. And then there were other seasons where the behavioral needs were so high in our house that your level of, like, you just really needed more of a break because your stress level was so high. Yeah. So I think that was the biggest adjustment. And
you were there for 2 years?
Almost
2 years. What would you say with your time at Boys Town, what are some of the significant ways that it shaped like your view, your lens on I'm just going to use right now family ministry?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that I was really coming face to face with real trauma for the first time. And so some of the stories that the girls would come into our house with were so awful. I mean, the types of abuse that they had faced or the trajectory of their story, sometimes by their parents and sometimes by other foster parents. We had one girl in our home who was removed from her parents at the age of 1 and was now 17, and she had been in 33 foster care placements in that period of time. Yeah. So just no stability. She ended up living in our house for 8 months, and it was the longest she'd ever lived anywhere in her whole life. Not like people who move a lot, but like,
I mean, if you think about that, Mel, that's crazy.
Yeah. 8 months as the longest that one set of caregivers had ever cared for her. Yeah, that's nuts. And the only reason she moved out is because she turned 18 and went to college. But I think it was my first intersection with that level of trauma. And so but I think that it shaped my understanding of family ministry in some negative ways too, because I think maybe a little bit of this is the organization. Some of it is just like me not having anyone to help me process through it.
Yeah, real fast. Did you have strong community or church to lean upon during those 2 years?
We were good friends with the 5 couples, but we were all so like overwhelmed with our own houses that there wasn't like a ton of support. And there's super high turnover there too. So
I can imagine. Yeah.
Everybody was like kind of new to their jobs. We were all like just trying to survive. Sometimes we hung out together when we could, but I don't know that we were always healthily processing. But you felt right away like our family and friends back in Ohio couldn't possibly understand what we're going through, what life is like here. And then when we went to church, it was to take the girls with us. So we went to what is the church called?
Oh yeah.
Rick Warren's church, Saddleback.
Yeah.
So we went to Saddleback, which was really a really cool experience. I mean, Rick Warren's a great speaker, but it's massive. I mean, it is like going to church at OSU and you just pick one of the buildings and that's where you sit for the service.
Yeah.
So we always had to go to the youth service and drop our kids off there were separate buildings for like the 1-year-olds. So we would drop Hope off at the 1-year-olds, then like walk to another building to drop off Caspian at the 3-year-olds.
Campus.
Yes, it was a campus. And then and even like a couple of the host moms or the house moms and I went to a women's Bible study once for a few weeks. And they'd get to the part where you're like sharing personally about what's going on in your life. And the stuff we were telling them, just like
jaws drop.
They were like, there is a demon in your house. We got to pray that. Yeah. Like, literally there's 5 of them. So it also just felt like such bizarre difference in how our life was than theirs that it was hard to feel like a strong level of
Sure.
community. And I just think maybe organizationally they weren't at the same place that the world of trauma and behavior has caught up to a little bit of understanding that parents had their own trauma that they were dealing with that would have led to these stories. So in general, like to sum up, I grew this heart of stone towards the parents,
Yeah.
thinking of them as the villains in these girls' stories. And so it was really easy for me to be compassionate to the girls in our home, even when they were really struggling, even when it was aimed at me. But man, I would say I even sometimes hated their parents.
Yeah.
Like, you should have done better than this. So these kids wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah. Can I ask you, how would you, like, if you could if you could go back today as who you are today to go back 15 years ago to Mel and say, here's kind of like for lack of a better word, the accurate lens I want you to have towards those parents, because some of them did make some poor decisions that led to some horrific situations for those kids.
Yeah.
So what is the accurate lens that you would encourage you to have 15 years ago?
I think an accurate understanding of just how broken and in need of the Lord the whole world is. And so because the girls had all different reasons for being there. Some of them, it was like, your whole family is a gang selling drugs and you're like the one kid that got pulled out of it, but they're all still back there selling drugs and that's your identity and belonging and you want to be back there with them. And some of them, it was like your mom just struggled with mental health and like just needed a little support and you could still be with her instead of in all these foster care homes. But some of them, it was like your parents are doing like intentional, malicious harm to you, not just in a moment of heightened anger, but like trying to look for creative ways to hurt their kid.
Yeah.
And so all of those things mixed together in my mind to be like, we got to save these kids and start over. And I think I fundamentally didn't understand their tie and desire for their parents. Even when they had been through such hard things, that was their place of belonging. And what they wanted was
they were communicator, right?
They would tell us. They did not want a new family. They wanted their family to be okay and a safe place to be.
Yeah.
And so maybe even if they wanted to come away from it for a while, like, oh, it's a relief to be somewhere safe, what they're hoping is, my mom's gotten better so I can go back to her.
Can I ask you, how did you wrestle through that with them when they would say that? You know, was it just a listening ear, or did you respond to that?
Probably not well, because my heart wasn't in a good place. It was very judgmental.
So it was hard for you to respond maybe in the ways that you would have liked
I mean,
to.
I hope I never I don't remember for sure. I hope I never really harshly was like, you should not want to go back there.
Correct,
Your mom is the worst. I may have said things akin to that. That sounds too harsh for me to even say back then.
But do you remember being shocked by them saying those things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So then we would go off in another room and be like,
what?
Gosh, what? Like, how could she want that?
She's
Let's
so
pray for
deceived,
God to open her eyes that she will see this family's better or this future's better. And there is some truth to that. But
sure.
I think I was missing such a piece of compassion for those parents who were most likely had been through their own horrific things to get to the point where they would do things like that. For sure, I was missing compassion for the ones that were maybe just struggling with mental health and struggling to meet their kids' needs, and that's why they got removed. I kind of lumped them all together as, there are a lot of reasons, but all of you have screwed up.
Yeah.
And now here we are picking up the pieces with your girls. And there was just such a posture, like, it's embarrassing for me to say now, just a posture of pride and judgment that, like, even though, Phil, I told you at the start, like, we thought we could do this because of the blessing of the gospel interrupting our family story, I still got there and thought of myself as better than them.
Yeah.
Even though I knew that the gospel was what led me there.
We're idiots.
We
all are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an indictment on you. That's an indictment on all of us, really. You know, what is true, though, there's this bent towards justice. You want what is wrong to be right.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. But I think what is interesting when you hear that part of your story, Mel, it does speak, I think, pretty loudly toward the need. And maybe this is getting ahead of where I wanted to go with the flow, but I think it fits well. But it does speak loudly to the need of family preservation. If you got kids that have come from these horrific situations that are ultimately saying, I just want my parents and I want
Yeah.
them in a healthy spot.
Yeah.
You mind just speaking to how maybe that, now that you have 15 years later stacked up against that, and you doing work of family preservation now for almost 6 years now, right?
Well, if
Almost
you count
6,
volunteer time,
Yeah.
then it's 8 years.
I mean, that's had to shape your lens towards family preservation. And if so, how has that done that?
Yeah, I mean,
Does that make sense what I'm getting
yeah.
at? Like that's an interesting thing to think about.
Well, it's an interesting place to start. I doubt most people have my origin story and then go into
Correct.
family preservation. And I usually think of it the opposite way. How has family preservation then gone back and shaped what happened there versus like how what happened there has shaped my lens for family preservation. I think I do still have a passion for this justice piece of, if I'm tracking with your question, of I when there is not a chance to preserve this family, I do passionately want them to be able to receive the restored version of it that God is giving them. Does that make sense?
It totally does.
Like, I still can remember how wrong it was if your mom is going to hit you every time that you go on a home visit, that you still want to go on the home visit so much. Like, there has to be something in you that recognizes that is wrong.
Yes.
And I want to pray for you to see the truth in that. So I still think I have that sometimes in our stories that we're walking through now that tempers me from jumping all the way into every single family should be preserved when sometimes they can't because the brokenness is beyond what is wise to leave a child inside of.
Yeah.
But I think too that I had such a simple view back then of like it was puzzle pieces, like your puzzle is broken, so I'm going to put you in this new puzzle and your piece will just slide right in with these adoptive parents or foster parents and you guys will sail off into the future. But like God biologically designed this family and there are connections that are physiological that go way beyond just like I want my original parents to be my parents.
Yeah. I would even say spiritual.
Spiritual, yes, absolutely. I mean, I wish I knew all the stats. Them Before Us knows like a lot of these really cool stats about a bond between parents and babies that's like biological, physiological, spiritual, emotional. We'll have to like explore that more at some point. But I think I just thought it was this simple, like, this is broken, let me fix it, not understanding then the brokenness that would be there forever, that they would always feel like they lost this.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't just, your puzzle piece doesn't just fit perfectly into another family.
Yeah.
Now, I believe God's a redeemer and restorer, and he can absolutely create something so beautiful in that. And that's my prayer for my son who's adopted. But I just think that it's not as simple as what I thought it was back then.
Yeah. Obviously, that's not every kid's story, but you're saying the kids that you had in your care were constantly, there was this continual theme of hearing from them, I want my parents.
Yes.
And I think it just does, in so many ways, speak to like this innate thing that God put in them for the original design of what he intended as good, for that family to be a family.
Yeah.
And again, I think there's just some proactive work that we can be doing and should be doing as the bride of Christ, as church, as Christ followers, to support families.
Yeah.
So situations like that don't happen. They're longing for what God created.
Yes.
And anyways, let's fast forward now.
Okay.
You had your time at Boys Town. You're coming back to the promised land, Columbus, Ohio. It's a place way more beautiful than California.
Way more beautiful than the mountains and oceans that I was near.
California's
you know
the
what
worst.
degree it probably is there right now?
Yeah.
Like 78 as opposed to like
about
negative
50
3.
degrees warmer than it is here right now, which is crazy to think about.
No.
But it didn't take you long to jump back into family ministry. And so daycare, you ran the ministry at the church, children's ministry at the church. You mind just speaking to your experience there, how you ended up in those avenues?
Yeah, I actually think this is one of the ways the Lord directed my path the most that I probably resisted. I really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but we couldn't afford for me to be a stay-at-home mom, in particular when I was having my third daughter. So we moved home. Jeff got a job at Chase. I started running a daycare with my mom, which was really cool. She had, raised 6 kids in this house and now it was empty. And so we like started up a home daycare.
Did
at
you
our
stumble
house.
into that? Was that a conversation you had with your mom before you moved back?
No, I did it a little bit before I moved. I was just babysitting a couple kids for extra money before we moved to California. And so when I moved back, I was looking at daycare centers as possible places to work. And they paid like $12 an hour. So it just felt like I could.
Then that was decent. So much.
So our like 11-year-olds can make more babysitting.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
But I kind of put the money together. Like if we had 10 kids at a daycare and the 2 of us leading it, we could make easily twice that much money per hour if you just do it on your own out of your own house instead of running through a big center. And so we researched it a little bit, and then I asked her, and they needed a financial solution too. So it has ended up being a huge blessing to them, and she's still doing it. She's still 3 days a week at the age of 73.
Still got game.
Yeah. Yes. Half the kids are her grandchildren. She's got a couple other kids in there. But I had a very resentful heart towards this for a long time. I mean, I saw the Lord using his ministry. We got to be a blessing to a lot of young families. We got to serve kids, sometimes share the gospel with kids. So there were some cool things happening, but all my friends started to have children at this time, and they were all getting to stay home with their kids. And I just felt this death of a dream, and this unfairness of why do I have to work and none of these people do. I really wrestled with it during this season. It was a bitter pill for me to swallow. But at some point, I feel like the Lord was like, you are exactly where I want you to be. And what you're doing right now is going to end up being more of a blessing to you than a hardship. And I started, the best way to fight against bitterness is with gratitude. And so I started this simple habit of thanking the Lord, listing things I was thankful for every day. And every time I was tempted towards bitterness. And so I was doing this every day. And it is amazing how it just takes your heart over. And then you just really are happy. Nothing changed about your circumstances. Yeah. You just started thanking the Lord for all the things he was already doing.
Kind of crazy how the Bible works.
Yeah. God is occasionally right.
Yeah. Goodness.
But I do remember one Sunday that I was sitting in church worshiping, and I was pregnant with Lyra, and I felt really sick, and I was really bitter about working in the daycare. And the song "How He Loves Us" came on, and I just sat down and wept. And I was like, I do not feel like you love me, God. I feel like you would give me what I want if you loved me. And that was right before I entered that season of gratitude that I feel like he took me through. And I ended up just loving and being so thankful for those years running the daycare, where I felt like my mom was mentoring me. My mom had raised 6 kids and homeschooled them all, and is such a legit mom. I feel like she was mentoring me in what it meant to be a parent. And then the Lord worked out our finances where I was going to be able to stay home. And we were like, okay, we're going to take all of these things that I've learned, and we're going to start fostering kids out of our house. And it'll be that last missing piece of, I'm not just serving kids and families, but I'm serving ones who really need it, who are really broken and hurting. And the last day I ran the daycare with her, and she was going to run it by herself on Monday. And I was driving home to start getting ready to be a foster mom. I was driving home, and that song, "How He Loves Us," came on the radio. Wow. And just feeling like the Lord saying, hey, I did love you. That doesn't mean my plans look like what you want them to look like. And man, look at how I'm taking you on this trajectory. And there were so many things I learned during running the daycare that help me now at my village, like running the finances for a business and marketing and trying to find new people to partner with. And I just see the Lord putting these building blocks into place, and he's just never in a rush. He knows exactly where he's taking us.
Well said.
And so, I came home, and we were going to become a foster family. And then you and Aaron were we're going to start Safe Families at the church. And we'd love for you guys to come to this first interest meeting. And it just felt too providential that we were ready for that right at the same time you guys were starting this ministry, which I didn't really know what family preservation was, but I knew that you had said we could host kids in our home. Nor did you. But yeah, I knew you said we could host kids in our home. So we went to the first training, and the Lord profoundly broke my heart open for the parents, which I think I talked about a little, at least a little bit on another podcast. Just, I think maybe more than anything else, I had a drastic shift in my lens in the area of having compassion and even great respect for the families that we were serving instead of judging them.
Because of that lens shift, did that create almost like was there a greater burden to carry within that, because that is now a piece of your heart, like that's what you wanted to live out faithfully? Or did that feel relieving to some degree? Does that make sense? Like, because now the focus isn't just the kids, it's also the parents.
Yeah.
And so when you have that, I could see how that could cause in you this mindset of like, this is just going to be more work, more burden. But like, yeah, what did that?
Well, I think anytime the Lord convicts you of sin, I think at first it is uncomfortable, where you're like, gosh, I had so much pride and judgment for so many years. And why didn't anyone tell me? So I think the first moment is this discomfort or maybe uncomfortability, if you will.
It's a good word.
Yeah. This discomfort with how wrong you were. Like, have you ever had somebody give you feedback? You thought you were like marching confidently in the right direction, and then you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
But it rings true. And so if you're able to respond to it well, which praise the Lord, he helped me too, then there is almost immediate relief.
Yeah, it's freedom.
Yeah, of like, oh, this is what you planned all along. And maybe I could even sense some discomfort in myself in the past when I was being so prideful and judgmental. Like, this actually rings truer to who I know God to be.
Yeah.
And so there was something, even though it was such a big shift and conviction, there was something that rang true that was like, okay, this makes sense. Yeah. And some things are clicking into place.
Well, in our trainings, I love when you and Allie and sometimes Lori lead the session on relationship building, because it really is it comes out of you easily. You can tell it flows from passion, which is really exciting to think about where you were and where you are now. And that's obviously the Lord did that work on your heart. That's something you didn't drum up on your own. Yeah. That's the Lord.
Yes, for sure.
And praise the Lord for that. Would you say with that first hosting, because you were the first host family, you knew that we hadn't done this before. Was there excitement in you and Jeff towards this aspect of the ministry of building relationship with the parents as well? Or was there a lot of timidity and fear? Because it's something new, and because you're the first host family who's, we're trying to figure it out. Do this whole thing.
Yeah. I think mostly excitement because of what we were just talking about, where it felt like it clicked into place. It took away some of my wariness around, we're going to care for this kid and how do I act towards you? I felt very equipped to go into that first meeting and connect with mom and tell her she was doing a good job and make it feel like we were in this together and we both now care for this little girl. And I felt very equipped by that training. And like the new lens I was wearing was a shoe that fit. And so there were definitely moments that made me nervous. Jeff probably felt more nervous than I did about connecting with a single mom.
Sure.
And I mean, it's more appropriate that I do more of it. I do still think it's still easier, quote unquote, to just love a little toddler that's in your home, be adorable, than to be patient and compassionate and connected to an adult who has like a whole host of complicated trauma in their life too. So I still think it was easier to do that, but I think you guys vision cast so well for what it could look like to break bread together in our house, to truly be in it with them, to be rooting for them. That I think the Lord just prepared my heart in every way he needed to. And so I didn't have timidity. Yeah. I was pretty excited.
Yeah. So how would you say you've hosted a good amount of nights and supported a lot of families? You've been in this ministry again for a while. How have you seen this ministry, this involvement in this work shape you and your family specifically?
Yeah. It's a good question. I think there's probably lots of answers, because it's hard to disentangle now the last 8 years of my spiritual growth in general from the work that we've been doing, because It's been in my home.
Yeah.
It's at my vocation. It's in my marriage. Like
It's part of your daily life.
it's and it's part of my spiritual walk. Like how do I really separate out what's been just growth from the Lord versus growth from the ministry? It's easier for me to answer for the family. I think, I saw my kids learning things that they never would have learned if I just told them those things or read them from a book. They were so cute when we did our home assessment, just like showing off their room, the room that they had set up for kids to come stay in. I mean, they were so eager to share their space and to have another kid at the house. They were so excited about what we were going to do. And honestly, I think some of that is the daycare. Like their whole life, they had been going to a daycare with me at my mom's house and sharing everything.
Yeah.
So there are like all these minute ways that they had already prepared to have other kids in their home. And so it was a joy for them instead of a trial. That first night that we hosted, I tell this story a lot, and I'm sorry if I already told it on the podcast. I don't think I did. We were all talking about how the little girl was going to be able to sleep that night because she was used to sleeping in bed with her mom. And you guys had level set for us. That wasn't an appropriate boundary. We weren't co-sleeping family. So she was going to have to sleep by herself in the bed. And we were talking about like, we hope she sleeps and this is going to be hard. And I looked over and my 12-year-old son had tears in his eyes. And I was like, oh, buddy, what is wrong? He was like, man, I was just thinking about her mom and how she's going to have to sleep alone tonight for the first time after all these months of getting to share a bed with her daughter. And I just could not believe his compassion. He just got it. He almost got that compassion for mom faster than I did. And I think that compassion has been something that then remained in his life. I think the kids are quick.
Powerful. Yeah,
the kids are quick to connect with and build friendships with people who look differently than them. And I think the most impactful change for our family is that when the Lord brought Cameron's story into our life and we were wrestling through whether or not to say yes to adopting him, our kids were just so ready to say yes, even though that we knew it would turn our whole lives upside down. Hope was, 7 years or almost 5 years ago. So she was 12 and she said, I not only think we can do this, I think it'll make our family better.
Well,
and Caspian,
kind of hard to say no at that
I
point.
know.
It's like, okay, Jesus.
Yeah. Caspian started crying right away and he was a 14-year-old boy.
Wow.
And he was like, I just felt so sad for some of the loss and brokenness that Cameron was going through. And Charlie started moving things around in his room immediately to fit Cameron in.
Love it.
They were so ready to say yes. And they still are. I mean, we've had kids in our lives that weren't even through my village that are going through hard things. And they're just like, yeah, where can we move? We'll sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
Where can we fit
It's
them?
the DNA.
Yeah, it's so lovely. And hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm bragging about them, but it feels like something that we didn't build, but God built in our house because of some simple yeses. And we didn't jump from doing nothing to our kids are like this. It was like, we're making these simple yeses and God is building this faithfulness in our kids that we couldn't have built on our own.
Yeah.
And our kids have all kinds of issues and struggles,
they're the
and
worst
they're sinners.
in so many ways. I mean, goodness.
Yeah. And
No,
so
your
are
kids
Jeff
are
and I. But I cannot, I mean, I've been a parent for 19 years. For 8 of those, we've been hosting. For 2, we were at Boys Town. For 6, I was running the daycare. I can't imagine our family without this piece in it. It is our story.
Yeah.
And so like I said at the start of this question, you can't like disentangle one from the other. It's the story God's telling in our family.
Yeah. It'd almost be as if something was missing if you weren't doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they are like, as soon as Caspian's 19 and as soon as he moves out, they're like, all right, where can we host?
Yeah.
Where can we fit a baby?
Here's an empty space.
Yeah. I think the girls would really like there to be a baby.
Yeah. So maybe to conclude this podcast with this question, what would your encouragement be to that couple out there, that individual that is interested in hosting, but this would be their Boys Town?
Yeah.
Like this would be their big first step into family ministry. What would you say to them to help them count the cost, to encourage them? Is there a passage? Is there a prayer? What is it that you would encourage them with?
Yeah. I mean, we use this passage a lot, but from Psalm 68, God sets the lonely in families. I think it's easy as a believer to feel like, gosh, that's such a nice passage. And yeah, God does set the lonely in families. And I think we should appropriately feel the conviction of we are the families. Like you in the church, you are the families that God is going to set people into.
Who does he exactly mean?
Yeah. If you're not the lonely, you're the family. I mean, that is really convicting to me, is that we are part of God's story. We're not watching it from the outside. We are the people he uses. He's using his bride to accomplish his mission in the world. And so he's calling you to be one of the families. And I really think it's as simple as what I said when we went to Boys Town. We can. Can you?
Yeah.
Have you thought about whether or not you could actually do this? You can. Then go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't tell people it's going to be easy, because it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be better to be on mission with the Lord and to be stewarding the gifts that he's given you. It's going to be better, even if it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And it does produce lovely fruit in your home, reliance and dependency on the Lord, faithfulness in your kids. And it produces a bullseye on your back that the enemy is going to come for. But that also increases your dependency on the Lord. And that's what God wants, is for us to recognize that we need to depend on him.
Yeah.
And there is something about serving in this ministry that makes you have to do that.
Yeah. The verse that keeps ringing in my head as you told the story about your kids and as you went into what you just shared right now is just in James, where they're speaking of Abraham's faith, where James, right? You see his faith and his actions were working together, but his faith was made complete by what he did. There is a completeness, a fullness that comes with your faith when you do take risks.
Yeah.
For the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And you are obedient to him in that way. And that is something I believe you will experience in a ministry like this, where there is this holy dependency on the Lord.
Yeah.
And in that you see the fullness of your faith come out, because you see the Lord working in and through your life in some pretty significant ways. That's what I heard a lot of in this kind of the latter half of your story, is just experiencing the completeness, the fullness of faith in your life as you said yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All you said was yes.
All we did was say yes. The Bible says in his presence is fullness of joy.
Yeah.
And we want joy. We were made for joy. We think in the world that our pathway to joy is money and success and a nice house. It's all these things that the world tells us it is. But if we can recognize what we want is joy, then we can appropriately refocus on what God tells us will bring joy, which is being in his presence.
Yeah.
And so let's pursue that joy. And I don't think you can do this ministry and not be in his presence. He's going to show up for you because you can't do it without him. And there is just something wonderful about that. I could not imagine the sweetness that I've experienced with the Lord over the last 8 years.
Yeah.
And I would not do it any other way, even knowing some of the incredibly hard things we've walked through. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about joy. I think there's a uniqueness of joy you experience in really hard and challenging things that you do, seasons that you're a part of. And that was the case for Jesus too. For the joy set before him endured the cross. You know what I mean? There is just a joy that is found in saying yes to really hard things.
Yeah.
That you don't experience if you don't say yes.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, something that is very unique that you get experience in this ministry, specifically as a host family.
Yes.
And a coach, I would say, for sure.
Anything where you're frontline, working with the messiness of other families.
And I love that we hear that in your testimony. I feel like we hear that so often in the testimonies of others in debriefings and as we hear their stories in this. And that's exciting to think about, is that there's a burden that we have in inviting people into this hard work. But there's also a joy because of the joy that families are experiencing as they engage in family preservation.
We had a conversation about this once at staff, whether or not Jesus was a really joyful person.
Or a man of sorrows,
Yeah, because scripture says he was a man of sorrows, acquainted with sorrow, but he also had perfect unity with God. And he, he was experiencing and part of this purposeful story and miracle and all kinds of miracles. And I think the answer has to be both. Like there is something about even on our team, like the great sorrows we've felt together that then produces this great joy that like bubbles up inside of us too. That I think is really unique.
Yeah. And that's when you know it's joy. Despite the circumstances, you still encounter joy.
Yeah.
That's joy from the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's pretty special.
Yeah.
To encounter that.
For sure.
Well, I think it is abundantly clear that the Lord has established your steps in a way that's led you to My Village Ministries. And I'm glad that the Lord brought you and your green sweatshirt here to join us.
Can we get that in this color?
Yeah.
It'd be so alarming.
Yeah, it would be alarming. But when I think of My Village, I think when many people that are part of My Village Ministries think of My Village Ministries, they think of Melody Marshall. And that's something special. You've put your stamp on this ministry, and it's exciting to think again of where Lord started with you and Jeff 15 years ago and how he led you to here today.
Yeah, praise the Lord. We never could have foreseen the path that he was drawing out, and it was so much better than we could have pictured.
Yep. Amen. And I remember one thing that's a little bit of a side note, but I'm just really thankful that I remember praying this 2 retreats ago, that the Lord has really kept us unified.
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful that the Lord brought a co-director to labor alongside of me that I think just complement each other in so many ways, but there's been a lot of unity. And I'm just so thankful.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that the Lord has done that. I'm thankful that the Lord has brought you and your family to the ministry. It's been a blessing to the ministry and to the city of Columbus.
Thank you.
And to so many families. So, but that's too much sappiness.
That's true.
And encouragement.
We did not know that it would work this well.
No.
That is for sure the Lord.
For sure.
We
I
just
thought
like,
I was like a crapshoot.
Actually, you guys should know. Phil was trying to bring me on as co-director so that he could like edge
get on out.
He was like, "This is
I'm not good at this."
You were so good at it, but you did need a melody.
Yeah, I did need a melody, and praise the Lord, man. 2 are better than 1
for sure. And I, could not do what we can do together on my own.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it is. And tomorrow's the next day.
Tomorrow's the next day.